So, oh, my little friend can join. Come on, come on. Whoop, you got it? You got it? Okay, you have to face this way. I chose this topic because I feel it's so important, giving. Giving of your time, giving of yourself. Mother Teresa said, it's not how much we give, but how much love we put in the giving. Throughout my homily, there will be more responsive readings up there. And so when you see them, please join in. I've always felt the desire to help out. I don't know where I learned it. Nobody in my family growing up volunteered. I think I started in high school. I ran for office. I volunteered for all sorts of committees. And that was the beginning of learning that it felt really good to make people happy and to give. When my daughter was young, we volunteered for the Special Olympics because I wanted her to learn how to give and to learn how to accept others. This may not sound like a funny story, but from my end. In the 80s, I went to the Women's Center to volunteer. And they said they needed people to work on the rape crisis hotline. And I remember saying, no, what else do you need? That wasn't something that I wanted to work with. It was scary. But of course they said, but that's what we need, and so I did it. I learned so much. I learned about myself, and it became a career for me. Later, I became the director, the founder and director of a center for child sexual abuse survivors and rape survivors in Eugene, Oregon. And then I moved to Japan and started volunteering. Some people find this hard, but in the women's movement. This is in the mid-90s, but they were there and they were wanting it to be different and wanting it to be better, and so I went with them. Then, some of you know I've moved around a bit. I moved to Turkey, and I lived there during the big earthquake. And my teacher friends and I, we would go out into the camps and work on the weekends. We built a school. It just all felt like that was what I should do. And then the same thing, when I lived in Japan, I lived there during the Kobe earthquake. Later, my friends would say when I moved to Vietnam, do they know you're coming? And so in Japan, I went to Kobe for a couple of weeks. That was totally mind-boggling and amazing of what can happen to our earth with a little, and how people survive, and helping them do that. And so it's gone, giving and receiving, teaching and learning. There's endless opportunities with volunteering. I advise students, since I've been a teacher for the past 20-some years, to volunteer. If they think they want to do something, what do you want to become when you grow up? Then go volunteer and see if you really like it. See if it's what you really want to do. It would be a real shame to go get a degree in something and then go, I, as I said, volunteered at the Women's Center and found a career. I volunteered as an ESL teacher before I got my degree because I thought it sounded like a great job, but I wasn't sure. So I volunteered, and another new career came out of that. One of those I had a passion for because of my life experience, and the other I thoroughly enjoyed because I was teaching people to communicate and learn about other cultures. The best way To find yourself is to love yourself in the service of others. When you join a group, I have found, of like-minded people, people who want to make a difference in a project that you believe in, you will meet new people. Strangers will become friends. You will network and make contacts for other areas in your life. It's truly amazing all the good people you will find in the world. Different people have different interests and different talents. Various people make a puzzle whole. Oh, that was mine. What will happen if I join a group of strangers?
Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something.
Your opportunity to make a difference could be, now you should know I'm going to go here. Your opportunity to make a difference could be drinks and food on Sunday morning in hospitality. Do you know how happy that makes people? Are you aware how good that can make you feel seeing those people happy? Your opportunity could be volunteering for the Red Cross or some other national organization and making a difference in the whole world or in your community. It doesn't matter whether it's a little job or a big job. They're all important because they're all a part of the whole. When I started with my team on the third Sunday in hospitality, and when we're working there, and we see you all eating, if you look, there's usually a time we're all standing there beaming and watching you. It makes us feel good. You're drinking, you're talking, you're laughing, and we made it happen. It makes us happy. When I work in a disaster shelter for the Red Cross or for the Humane Society and see people getting support and resources they need, in that moment, I am happy I had a part in it. How can I, one person, make a difference?
We must become the change we want to see in the world.
Probably my favorite quote, if not in the top 3, because it's so true. Giving is the opportunity to make a difference through social impact, big or small. All it is important that you be involved. Whether doing it by yourself or being involved in a big group, it's just important to be involved and make a positive difference in our world. Many people in our church give of themselves, both in this church and outside in the community. Deborah Bon Upson in education, Sue Green in hospice, Catherine Graham in community affairs. And I just noticed Davey is sitting there. He is out there in our world trying to change things politically. Thank you. And now Catherine's going to tell us something about her experience of giving in our community.
Sorry, this is a little high for me. Thank you. We really need to figure out, heights when we put people together in the podium. So we have to do this, coordinate this on Sunday morning.
She's on your...
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. So my experience is very different from Marie's. I'm not a lifelong volunteer. In fact, you might not know this about me, but I'm a very reluctant joiner. And so I don't really go out and do things like that. But for me, the joy of giving is really the joy of surprises. The group that I'm most involved in as a volunteer, other than the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu, is FACE, Faith Action for Community Equity. our church joined FACE as a charter member 21 years ago at the urging of our then minister, Mike Young. And it took me about 10 years to get involved with them. As I said, I'm not a joiner. I just don't jump right in. And it was Nancy Young who finally got me to one of the public meetings of FACE. And these only happened 4 times a year. And what I found was that they were really fun, totally energizing, and I learned so much about the community from attending those meetings. And that got me hooked on the 4 times a year public meeting. But then Nancy, who chaired the FACE Housing Committee and had gotten all kinds of kudos for helping save Kukui Gardens as affordable housing, was leaving the islands. And she asked me if I would come on board to the Housing Committee. I had worked at IHS in homeless issues and with other nonprofits with underprivileged people, and I understood about housing problems, so I agreed. And the key here is I was invited. That's really the only thing that gets me out there, I'm afraid. And some of you may be the same. Some of you may be more like Marie and really brave and just go out there, but I have to feel very special and be invited. So anyway, that remember that when you need help, to invite people and not just make an announcement. So I ended up chairing this housing committee. And then an opportunity came along with FACE to attend a week-long national training in community organizing here in Honolulu. So I attended. And the most important thing I learned from being a good organizer is that you have to come from a place of self-interest. You have to be interested in what you're doing. You have to care because it means something to you personally. So, animals mean something to Marie. I probably wouldn't be good at the Humane Society. But I realized how important affordable housing was for me because I was an overeducated, underemployed renter here in Hawaii, a place where rents continued to skyrocket year after year. So I also saw firsthand how community organizing can move policy and get things done. As part of this national training, we did an action. All 100 of us piled into buses, descended on City Hall to tell the then Mayor Harris that we needed an office of housing since there was no department or person in the city in charge of affordable housing. Honolulu was the only city of its size in the nation with no such entity. We presented him with a broom, telling him to stop sweeping housing problems under the rug. And I thought this was just an exercise for the training. But lo and behold, that action had teeth. And the next thing I knew, there was a charter amendment on the next ballot to appoint a housing director, and that passed. So we now have an executive office of housing at the city level. Wow. I found myself learning so much and being really engaged. I was attending city council meetings, legislative hearings, submitting testimony, things that never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined that I would have done. This kind of thing bored the heck out of me when I was younger. My father was the editor of a small town newspaper, and he had to attend these kinds of meetings regularly. Oh my God, and he would drag me along sometimes. This was the last thing ever I thought I would do, and I can just see my father rolling over in his grave, laughing his head off, because this is what I seem to be doing now. So I can honestly say I still have no idea if what I'm doing has any impact, but I believe that just being a witness, this kind of cracks me up here. Being a witness to what's going on in our community makes a difference. And working with others who share these values is very heartening. So the joy of giving, for me, comes from a combination of being present, learning the culture of the group that I'm giving to, and then offering my talents and skills when it's appropriate. I call it organic involvement. It works less well when one comes into an organization, looks around and says, boy, you guys suck. What you need is this, this, and this, and I can fix it. I find that people's involvement lasts less long that way, and there's a lot less joy in it for everyone. So I began by saying the joy of giving is the joy of surprises. So I had no idea when Nancy Young dragged me to that first FACE meeting 10 years ago that I would be so involved today and fighting so hard for affordable housing, an issue that I still don't quite understand, and it might be a losing battle, but it's important to me to keep working. So thank you, Nancy.
Next. What do you get from giving of yourself?
You always get back much more than you give.
Huh. Hold on. What I've learned, both from being a volunteer coordinator for many years at Voices and being a volunteer in many different organizations, is that people, we all, and Oprah says this, we all like recognition. We all like to be noticed. We all like to be praised. And many people say they don't. It's human nature. Even if we're embarrassed, we like it inside. And one of the things I've said is it doesn't take a lot of chocolate to make people happy. You know, if you give them a smile, if you give them a thank you, if you give them, a lot of the organizations that I work with here on the island do luncheons once a year and give out little certificates or prizes or whatever. It just makes you feel special. I would like this church to pick up that idea and give recognition to our volunteers, because the people that volunteer in this church work hard. I'm seeing at those meetings, they work hard. And so we say thank you a lot to people for their time, their caring, and their energy. It all works to make volunteers feel valued. And to me, that's the important word, to feel valued. Otherwise, they go away if they don't feel valued. I mean, what am I doing? Why does it matter? Nobody's ever said anything to me, and they disappear. It also, I've found the luncheons and things like that. Hold on. We get to meet each other. Leah and I work a lot alone. I mean, we're in hospital rooms. We're not alone, but you understand. And so at these luncheons or these gatherings, whatever they are, we get to meet the other volunteers. And again, you don't feel alone. It's like, oh, there's other people. Oh, I'm not just the only one. So I really like going to those. I get to meet people. And people have said this to me. Don't you get depressed working with people in nursing homes, hospitals, and hospice? So, I left off in my talk here about 17 years ago. I forgot to mention it. In Vietnam, I worked for a restaurant, it was a nonprofit that put street children into training to work in restaurants, either front or in the kitchen. And all of the children in that place, it was called Koto, to know one and teach one. In other words, what you learn, you should pass on. All of those children in his restaurant got jobs in the top 5-star restaurants in Hanoi and all over. They were so well trained. And I used to, of course, teach them English. Yay. So I left off in Vietnam, and 15 years ago I arrived in Hawaii. So what am I going to do? And so I went to work for the Red Cross here. Because I knew that it's a funny thing to say, but I enjoyed disaster work. In writing that, I went, what? But it's a really powerful place to put your energy. For those of you that may not know, what Red Cross does here, I mean, one little thing of what they do here, is when someone's house catches on fire or an apartment building or whatever, Red Cross workers show up. And we help do whatever they need. They may need housing, they're going to need food, they may need clothes. It's whatever they need. And then 8 years ago, I went to get a pet at the Humane Society. A pet for me, for companionship. And instead, somehow, I ended up with this little magical creature who was emaciated and thrown away. I'm sorry, it still gets me. Thrown away in a box. And I was the lucky one that thought she had a cute face. And she turned into this little dog who I changed my allegiance from Red Cross to the Humane Society because after Katrina was when it was decided that all disaster shelters, like we have here for hurricanes, tsunamis, or our big shelters, that they should all, not all of them, we have selected ones, but they should have animal shelters. Otherwise, they get lost, as I think we all remember in Katrina. And so I changed to the Humane Society, and now I volunteer in the Humane Society animal shelters with Red Cross. So, once I adopted Leia, it wasn't very long thereafter. It's what I called, she wasn't a living room dog. That's what I thought I went and got. It's a little pet to keep me company. She was so social and just loved everybody. She was out of control. She needed training. I almost gave her back. She was so out of control. She wasn't toilet trained. I got an older dog because I thought they would come trained. Don't believe it. And so, because it depends on what the person before you did or didn't do. So Leia and I went into training, and I said to somebody, I don't know what to do with this little thing. She's so social. And they said, turn her into a therapy dog. And I didn't have a clue what that meant. So you see, once again, it came out of kind of like I thought of you. It just came out of the blue. It wasn't a plan. And it sounded great, and it sounded exactly like what she could do. And she is a therapy dog. She loves people. She loves going to hospitals, schools, hospice. She works almost every day. Her chauffeur is very busy. I say sometimes her chauffeur wants to talk to her agent. But she is happy because that's who she is. So, most of you don't know this, but I also have a therapy cat. She's the only therapy cat on Oahu right now. Her name is Lily, and you're going to see her in a minute. She also was so friendly that I thought when I retired, maybe Lily could be. And I took her out, the nursing home where she started, let me bring her, and we discovered that Lily also was a natural. And so Leia's been working for 7 years, Lily's been working for 4 years. Oh, it's you. Then, hold on. Oh, there's no music. So why did I share these with you? So you kind of get a picture of what it looks like, a small little picture of what it looks like to be a therapy animal. As I said, we volunteer most afternoons after school. Why would I do that every day? It makes me happy to see others get such happiness from them. What I've learned in working with therapy animals is some people get such little joy in their lives. I always feel both good and sad when people tell me Leia made my week and she's with them 5 minutes because nobody else visits. And so I get to bring that joy. And that, I know, huh? So these little creatures, as you saw in the book that Rachel shared, this is what therapy animals do. This is what volunteering I have chosen this community to do. Number 6. Why therapy animals? Why reading dogs? Why service animals?
Animals like us are living souls. They are not things. They are not objects. Neither are they human. That they mourn, they love, they dance, they suffer. They know the peace and chasms of being.
I'd like you to make sure you read who this is from. I have just recently discovered him. So each Sunday, for those of you who don't know, Leia comes to church with me because after church we go up the Poly a short ways and we go to St. Francis Hospice. Again, originally when I went there, I thought we were going for the patients when we were asked to join St. Francis. I've learned over the years that we're more there for the families that come on Sunday afternoons to visit their family member. We're there for the staff that gets so excited when Leia comes running in the building, happy to see everybody. They get a few minutes of Leia, cuddling, tricks, fetch, kisses, just Leia. I didn't know if I could do well with people dying and leaving. Remember again, it's about giving your time and your energy where you think it will work best for you so that you want to keep giving. And I wasn't so sure about this hospice work. What I've learned is, after a couple of emotionally rough passings for me, I watched Leia. And Leia is always happy to meet her friends. As many of you know, when she sees you, she's happy to see you. Her good friends she always remembers. But Leia also, the next person she meets is her new BFF. So when there's somebody new in that bed and internally I make a gasp because I know why, Leia just jumps on the bed and says, "Hi, who are you?" and wants to give her all. When we go, Leia I've found she's good for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. At 2 hours, I usually have to carry her out because Leia gives it all. And she's so funny when if I make her walk out sometimes, I'll turn around and I'll look behind me and she's sitting back there, just looking at me like, I'm done. And I know that she gave it all away. And so I think we give of our time and our energy because it feels good. We start because we want to support a good cause, social justice, the environment, hospitality hour, homelessness, membership, veterans, our building, abuse survivors, world peace. So many wonderful ways to help our church, our community, our world. Choose one. Choose two. Just choose what you want to give your time and energy to and start feeling better.